Act of 1977, there were three paragraphs I found interesting with it. The first was it was set up because the increasing dependence on foreign energy supplies presents a serious threat to the national security of the United States, health, safety, and welfare of its citizens. It was also charged to provide for a mechanism to deal with the short, mid, and long-term energy problems, okay, of the nation. And I think we can see long-term we're going with renewables. Short-term, I think we should be worried about coal. But the third is to foster the continued good health of the nation's small business firms, public utility districts, municipal utilities, private corporations, private cooperatives involved in energy production. Mr. Secretary, I think you've gone away from those principles. I think you've allowed what we heard earlier with some of the testimony about the use of the EPA, their predictions of their greenhouse gas closures of plants that were talked about here, that there were said that the EPA says only this level. So based on this level compared to all the other national organizations, EPA has been emboldened to continue to drive for greenhouse gas emissions when all the others are saying if you do that, you're going to see the closures that are occurring like this all across America, that this questioning or challenging the reliability of our energy across America based on that information, I think I'm concerned that whether or not you have in fact a real interest in reining in a rogue agency that is allowing this kind of activity without based on science and agreeable comprehensive knowledge of how all the other people are looking at it across America. I go back to your remark that you made at Nettle in Pittsburgh, and you said, I want all of the above. I applaud that. I just wish it were back with action because I'm still going back. I want to go back to your statement that you made back in '07 when you said, coal is my worst nightmare. Coal is my worst nightmare. And we have the comment here from Harry Reid. Coal makes us sick. Oil makes us sick. It's ruining our country. It's ruining our world. Coal and oil, are those the facts? Is that the mindset of why on the short-term goal you've abandoned that and cutting the research money? As Mr. Doyle just said, 41% reduction in spending on R&D and coal. I'm awed. I just can't comprehend where this administration and you and your leadership are with it. With all due respect, Mr. Secretary, I think the DOE and the EPA have become the worst nightmare for the working men and women in our coal fields across America. What you're doing is challenging them, causing them to not know whether tomorrow they're going to have a job. I really do hope you'll go back to the requirements of the DOE and look at the short-term requirements. And those short-term requirements looked at coal and taking care of the families for the life, safety, and welfare of the American public and our national security.
Let me try to explain what I said. That was taken out of context, the quote. And what I said is that coal, as it's being used today in China and India and everywhere around the world in terms of its pollutants, is a big worry of mine. And so that's why when even before I became Secretary, but certainly after I became Secretary, being very committed to developing those technologies to bring the prices down so that we can continue to use that resource.
I hope, Mr. Secretary, you'll be able to get back to Mr. Doyle and others and be able to explain how we have a 41% reduction with national energy technology. Let me just, in the 36 seconds, will you be able to get back to us as to what we hear a lot of the folks on the other side talking about, how fossil fuel, particularly coal, is subsidized? Will you be able to tell us how American coal companies are being subsidized?
Well, I'll be glad to get back to you on that.
Thank you very much. You're back.
Thank you. At this time, I recognize the gentleman from New York, Mr. Engel, for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, let me first say that I'm one person who's followed you, and I think you're doing a fine job. And I think your agency is doing a fine job. And I think there have been a lot of political cheap shots at you, unfortunately.